Welcome to Looking Out My Kitchen Window. And sometimes while I'm looking out, I begin to look in and reflect on memories, on distance and silence, on family members who I haven't spoke to, not because they haven't called or because I haven't called either. I haven't reached out. And I have been hearing conversations lately from my community when it relates to their family. Phrases like, I love my family, but I only can take them in small doses. Being around family members can drain you. And I had to step away for my own peace. Wow. Years ago, these statements would have shocked people. It would have left them confused, not understanding. But today, they have become common conversations. But what does this mean when we hear terms like my family triggers me? What is a trigger? Well, in simple terms, and in terms that have been explained, a trigger is an emotional response to pain, trauma, disappointment, fear, rejection, and criticism, or unresolved experiences that you had with individual. And a trigger can come from childhood wounds, feelings of not being enough, comparison, abandonment, shame, grief, betrayal, or even emotional neglect. Because a simple comment can open up a wound. A family dinner can feel like an emotional war zone. A phone call can create anxiety before it even begins, before you even say hello. But did you know research is coming up with numbers that say this generation is one of the loneliest generations in history? Yes, people are more digitally connected, but not connected emotionally. Yes, you can message hundreds of people online quickly and still feel unseen. We are hearing that people know everything about others, but they don't know how people are feeling or doing. And loneliness does not only happen when people are alone, it can happen right in the room full of people you know and love. Some of the answers to the question of why the family system is breaking down. It's not so much as the pressure, but it's unaddressed trauma. Some people were raised to live in survival, never talk about anything, never express what you really feel, and hide behind a false image. And we won't even begin to tell you, because you already know how social media has changed our relationships. We constantly are being compared to one another, our lifestyles, our beauty standards. And this creates insecurity, competition, envy, and unrealistic expectations to the ordinary things in life. Many people don't even know how or why they post. They do not know how to communicate. So they do it online instead of face to face. Many people know how to stroll continuously, but not how to sit quietly and truly listen. Some social media has created altered identities and realities, and people are truly emotionally, spiritually disconnected. It has begun to build the image and the mindset that I don't need anyone. But the reality, human beings was created and designed to have emotional connections. God created people for relationship, community, even the strongest, because there is a danger in that, not having relationships. When you have pain and it goes unresolved, people forget how to connect. And eventually, they isolate, not because they're healed, because they are afraid now to reach out and connect. Yes, people you care about, family members, will cause hurt and wound because we're human. We're not making excuses here. We're just stating facts. And those offenses can lead to anxiety and mistrust. But remember, we all carry unresolved pain, and much of it is unintentionally, and it causes us to hurt not just ourselves but others. And one thing I'm learning while looking out my kitchen window is this. Sometimes the healing begins when we stop only examining and looking at everyone else and begin honestly examining ourselves. That takes courage. Oh, yes, it does. But we can do it. And it also takes a maturity within you to decide, what am I carrying and why? What patterns am I repeating? Because you can find yourself repeating the patterns of others who you said offended you. And what am I ignoring? Am I guarded? And why have I stopped giving grace? And I'm able to communicate it clearly. Healing is not pretending pain never happened. Healing is learning how not to let pain control your spirit. And you may need to understand what emotional resilience is. Because emotional resilience means developing the ability to recover, to adapt, and to remain grounded through emotional difficulty. Resilience is not weakness, it is strength under pressure. It means that you can set healthy boundaries, because remember, boundaries are just doors to show people how to enter into your life. It means refusing to carry offense forever and not to allow bitterness to become a constant companion on your journey. And remember grace, the ingredient to life, because everyone wants to be understood. But sometimes we struggle to give grace to ourselves and others. Grace is not saying, I allow abuse in my life. Grace says, I recognize that people are human and they're imperfect. They're not perfect because I'm not. And that people are growing and struggling with things that you may never know because it's their journey. Remember, we do not give excuse for harmful behavior, but we understand that we do not hold on to wounds that can cause bitterness in our lives because bitterness is too heavy to carry. I believe that healing is both emotional and spiritual, that some wounds and offenses, they require prayer, maybe counseling, forgiveness, wisdom, and community. I believe that you may also need a community that teaches you the importance of love, patience, reconciliation, humility, self-control, and wisdom. But understand this, you have to discern when relationships need distance, boundaries, or restructuring. Yes, some relationships need restructuring. You may need to reintroduce yourself for where you're at now today. But you will receive peace in that situation. So as we go on to look at how do we build healthy relationships and not allow triggers to drive us into isolation or bitterness. First, be honest. Stop performing and just be honest. Learn how to communicate healthy by listening, by having patience and accountability. And when I talk about restructuring, remember, you need healthy relationships. You need a faith community, and you need meaningful conversations and acceptance. That's the things that you need. Yes, we're definitely going to protect our peace without losing our heart and understanding. We do not allow pain to turn us bitter, hardened, or emotionally unavailable because we are the one that loses out. We have to stay open, allow our wisdom to build healthy connections for our lives. And as I stand here looking out my kitchen window, I realize something that's very important. People are hungry for connection. This generation is fighting battles that they don't even talk about. But healing is possible. Your family may not be perfect or your community, but relationships may still require your wisdom and boundaries. You can choose to heal over hatred, to have grace over pride, and to communicate over silence, and community over isolation, because isolation doesn't mean peace. And maybe the greatest lesson of all of this is that as we're busy looking out at this world that is changing rapidly around us, we get the opportunity to look within because the strongest community begins with us. And that is truly part of your journey. So, this is just me and you looking out our kitchen window. I'll see you next time.